Oh, look at this. Oh my God, it's so good. Is it recording? It is recording. Just admire the beauty of this lens. Look at that. All that glass. And then you can use this as a coffee mug too. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's ya homie. It's your friend, it's your boy, it's Tongue, I'm Tongue. I do Fujifilm and photography related video on my channel, and today we are going to review the 50-140mm F2.8 lens and answer the question, should you get this lens? Is this lens for you? Let's start with the build quality. This lens is a solid build, the highest of quality. It has a good weight to it, and it is a red zoom badge. So when you feel it in your hands, you know that you're going to feel the premiumness. It's going to feel premium in your hands when you get it, when you touch it, when you feel it. Okay, this thing has a lot of glass inside because they made this in a constant f2.8 throughout the entire zoom range. The aperture ring is solid. The rubber gasket feels nice when you're twisting it to zoom in and out. Let's talk about the lens hood for a second. This is my least favorite thing from the lens. I feel like with all the Fuji lens hood, they are cheaply made. You pay so much money for it, you will want something a little bit better. When twisting on this lens hood, I find that it's not that stiff. It's quite loose and it doesn't feel secure. And for that reason, I never have on the lens hood ever. It's really there in my bag, but I don't really use it for anything because I don't know, it just seems very flimsy. This lens is heavy, and attached to the camera, it's going to definitely be top heavy, front heavy, and it's going to tip over. And it's going to feel very unbalanced with the X-T2 and the X-T3 when it comes to the weight distribution. If you're going to get this lens, it's on the longer end of the zoom. It's an equivalent to a 70-200 full frame. It's a fun lens to use when you're traveling. I used this lens when I was visiting Hawaii. I've used this while visiting Yosemite, the Sonoran Desert, in San Francisco, New York, and everywhere else in between. And let me tell you something. All the images that I took with this lens just come out looking so good, and that's what I want to talk about. The image quality of this freaking lens. Something about this lens makes it so fun to use. I think because of the compression you get out of this lens. It's something that makes everything look larger. Mountains that are in the background, you put this on, and because of the compression, it gets into the frame and it appears grander, and it just makes for a stunning image. You can really do that with just about anything, but it really works great with landscapes. Combine this with a constant f2.8, you're going to get some serious buttery out of focus blur. I find the bokeh to be very pleasing. It just melts right off, giving your subject some serious subject isolation. The images coming out looks fantastic, and it is sharp, wide open. I took this lens everywhere with me when I was traveling to Hawaii, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and the desert, and Australia. Some of my favorite images came from this lens. There's a magic to it. The colors are good, the contrast is good, the autofocusing you'll get out of this is really good also. It's just a slight below the 16-55mm f2.8. But if you know how well that lens focused, then this is going to be really fast. The OIS on this thing, again, I like to say the word is clutch. It was great to have. When we were hiking up the Hollywood sign for sunset, I had to turn it on with my X-T2, and I was capturing great images. I shoot low light stuff in Toronto and New York City, and this was just great to know that the OIS is there to save me in those low light situations. And because this lens has a range of 50-140, is it good for portraits? Yes, it is. I love taking portraits on this thing. That compression look can give the portraits a different look and certainly a different vibe than say a standard 35mm f1.4. It's so good, it's so great. Man, the compression though, it really makes your images stand out from the rest. Like God, I just love this lens. But Tongue, can you shoot wildlife stuff? Why yes you can. Just take a look at some of these photos that I took in Australia with these cute little quokkas. They are by far the cutest animals I've seen in this world. They're always smiling. Well, they weren't smiling so much when we arrived, but I got some shots of them just chilling on the Rottnest Islands, and they are so freaking adorable. This lens can do it all. I think it's also great for landscapes. Usually the general rule is if you want to shoot landscape, get a wide angle lens, that way you can capture everything in the scene. But using this lens, I find that you can change how you approach things and just focus on one thing and isolate that out. And because of that, because how I changed my approach rather than just capturing everything with a wide angle, I feel that this lens have challenged me to become more creative with my composition, my framing, and it helps me grow as a photographer. That's a good win. Let's get on with the only negative that I have with this lens, and that is the price and weight. This thing cost around 2,050 Canadian dollars, making it so you have to sell one of your organs to get this lens. It is an expensive lens, and if you're a budget, you're price conscious photographer, you're really going to have to weigh out your pros and cons. Or you can go with the cheaper option and get the 55 to 200mm, which is about half the price, but you're going to lose out on the constant f2.8 and the image quality and the faster focusing system. Let's touch on the weight. So this is where me as an individual, me as someone that deals with back pains, lower back problems, have issues, having issues with this lens. This lens is more than 2 pounds, and as someone who traveled a lot last year, I find myself not using this lens as much because of that weight. Adding in that I was carrying around a lot of gear, like a lot of gear. This lens did not come out of my bag as much as I would like. So that puts a lot of stress on my back. So what I would do is whenever I go out on a day trip, I would leave this lens at home unless I know I am shooting something that needs that reach. Like the quokkas that I did like in Australia. I did a 5-day trip to the outback and never once did I take this lens out. It was just too hot in the outback. I was hiking for like 3 hours a day sometimes and hiking up canyons and long distance. So all those factors together, I just said no to bringing this lens out. And I feel that I could have captured more if I did bring it out, but sadly my body had to say no. But that's all part of the game, you're going to have to accept sometimes that when you go to places, you're not going to get the photos you want, or you're going to be limited because of the lens that you choose. So with all that being said, I would still recommend this lens, like the shit out of this lens. If you have the money for it, if you're someone that cares about the image quality, if you want the best lens that Fujifilm has to offer, you are constantly in environments that demand the zoom, this lens is for you. It's honestly one of my favorite lenses that I don't use anymore, just because I'm not traveling at the moment, or otherwise I wouldn't have sold it. But again, I might just pick one up again once we're able to start traveling again, because man, looking back at all these images I've took, I'm just so amazed. I get so excited just sharing my images in this review. More than anything, that compression though, man, it just makes the images so much better. I wish there was some interesting stuff to shoot in Toronto. Otherwise, I would have used this like to go out and shoot cityscapes and stuff. But it's okay, I get by with my 16 to 55mm. So who is this lens for? If you're a travel photographer, wedding photographer, landscape photographer, portrait photographer, wildlife, event photographers, these are photographers I see that can benefit from this lens. Street photographers, if you want a challenge, might I suggest this lens? Overall, an awesome lens. What do you guys think though? Like, have you used it? Do you like it? Hate it? Let me know your thoughts down below. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. If you like this video, please leave me a like. It lets me know that you guys are watching, and that is what's keeping me motivated right now. Also, don't forget to comment and subscribe as well. That is it for me, guys. My name is Tongue, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Okay, bye. Oh, God.